So hey guys, it's Wood Heat Wednesday. This week I thought I would share with you my most preferred fire starter. So there's a lot of different items out there to help you get a fire started. I went down to our big box store, purchased all the ones that they had available, which really wasn't a whole lot. I know there's a lot of them out there, and somewhere here in the near future, I'd like to do a little shootout between all these. We can break them down like cost per weight, do a little bit of timing on how long they burn, and we can start tying some numbers to them and actually figure out which one's the best bang for your buck. So I only have a couple of them. If there's one that you'd like to see included in the shootout, let me know in the comments below. Then I can go out, purchase some of these, and get them mailed out, and we can include those in the shootout in a future date. So thought I'd talk a little bit about my personal preferred tool to get fire started. And that is something that's pretty available to most people, and that's newspaper. So when I'm talking newspaper, I'm talking the plain old newspaper, not those shiny glossy ads that you find in the center, usually on the Sunday paper. You don't want to use those, but just the plain old newspaper. There's a couple reasons I think newspaper is a far superior fire starter than most of the other stuff out there. We light a lot of fires. Firewood is our primary heat, and I generally go through at least a box of matches, which holds 300 matches a winter. So you think about that, that's 150 days if you're lighting 2 fires a day. And if you're going out and buying some sort of product like that, it adds cost to it, and that's a big driving factor for us is a cost-saving type thing. I've also seen a lot of stuff out there where people will take sawdust, melt some wax into like an egg carton and create these little fire starters. But you're lighting, 2 fires a day in 1 week. I mean, it's just not a very sustainable type thing out there. So newspaper is something, I know a lot of people don't still subscribe to the newspaper, but it's often something you can get for free. Go down to your local recycle center. They'll send you home with a whole bunch of newspaper at no cost. Maybe you work for a company that has a newspaper in their break room or something. Maybe you can talk to someone there and see if you can take those home each day. And I know a lot of towns as well will have sort of a local paper that they'll mail out once a week. So newspaper is just like the cost factor. And even if you had to purchase a newspaper, a lot of times you can find ways to justify that cost. Maybe you can utilize some of the coupons in the Sunday paper. I know for us, we used to subscribe to the Sunday paper, and the big reason for that was the coupons. So we could save the cost money, but then we ended up finding it where we could go buy the Sunday paper at a local store for $1 every Sunday, and that paper would carry us over the week, and then the additional cost savings of the coupons. So we don't do that anymore, but that was something we had done in the past, and it was very easy to justify that cost. So I honestly don't think there's anything that beats newspaper. It's something that we've always used. It works really well. I think one of the things I really like about it is it gets up and going really hot and quick. It helps you establish that draft. I mean, heat rises, that's what creates the suction that pulls the smoke up and out your chimney, and newspaper does a fantastic job with that. If you pair it up with some good dry firewood and kindling, I don't think we ever get any smoke really coming back into the house when we light our wood stove, and that's really comes down to getting a nice draft established. Also, if you look through almost all stove manufacturers' kind of manual, I've yet to see a manufacturer out there that does not recommend using newspaper. If there's a model out there, let me know. I'd like to go and look at that manual and see, but I'd be very surprised. One of the big complaints I've seen out there on YouTube, more YouTube than anywhere else, I've seen people kind of complain about newspaper, and one of the big complaints is that it floats up your chimney. If your stove already has a naturally good draft going there, and then you just loosely crumple that newspaper and throw it in there, yeah, that can happen. But I think one of the tricks of the trade is taking the newspaper, opening it up, and then rolling a single sheet corner to corner, and then tying it into a knot. This works fantastic because one, it helps reduce it wanting to float up the chimney. It also stays put when you light that thing, so you can put it right around your kindling pile. It stays there, applies the heat where it's needed, and works really well for that. A lot of times what we do is we use 5 knots of newspaper every time we start a fire. And we a lot of times will pair this up with a top-down fire. If you're not familiar with what a top-down fire is, you basically put your logs in on the bottom, then you put your kindling on top of that, and then you put your newspaper knots on top of that. And I mean, heat works all off of radiant heat, so it lights that kindling, the kindling then goes down, lights the logs. Very low maintenance, you establish a good draft right off the bat, and the fire is never collapsing in on itself and wanting to smother itself. I think one of the big secrets to doing a top-down fire is having some nice split firewood. Instead of throwing full rounds in there, the more corners and stuff that you have in there, it's easier for that to light up. And then of course having some good dry firewood and kindling to pair with that. I did do a video on this in the past, creating and storing kindling. If you got interest in that, I'll put a link in the description below. But a lot of times when we do our kindling, we do like a 70-30 mix. 70% softwood, 30% hardwood. That softer wood tends to light up a lot quicker and easier, and then that harder wood will burn longer and continue to apply that heat where it's needed so the rest of the fire can get up and going. So like I mentioned, I'd like to do a shootout between some of the different store brands out there. I know one of the big selling factors of a lot of those are there's no need for kindling. So maybe you're someone that only lights a stove a handful of times a year, don't have any kindling laying around. Maybe that is a good option out there, and I'd like to do sort of a thorough shootout between some of the different ones out there. So if there's a product you'd like to see included in the shootout, let me know in the comments below. I'll have to go out and order it, so as long as it's not too expensive, and then I'll have to have it shipped out to our place, and would like to get some of those different ones included in a future video. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
And set it and forget it. That's if you followed all the instructional material.